You're gonna be quick.
No, it didn't start yet. Yeah.
Talk.
Glazed over look. It was like I've just been staring at the screen since 6 a.m. and I am
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Z.
Yes.
I see why you told me to stay down here. Now you got a bowl of snacks.
Well, I'm off camera because I'm eating my lunch. I don't think you want to watch that.
Okay. Let's jump in here. All right, policy meeting, September 10th, 2025. Call to order. Let's make introductions here.
Amy DeRushers, Director of Special Ed.
Roger Pagoda, board member.
Brady Stosky, Secretary.
Tina Monroe, Principal at Verner.
David Zulkowski, principal at 10th Street Elementary.
Eric here, junior, senior high school principal.
Okay, we are here for the purpose of our first policy meeting of the year. On the docket is the review of all 600 policies and review of PNN updates. We'll start with the 600 policies. Remember, the board goes over the 600 policies that are not available or that don't have direct sort of PNN network updates. So for the sake of this meeting, we're talking about policy 601 through 626 as listed on the agenda. So let's start with those policies. Now, just for the sake of documentation, the district also on our side, I had Sheila and the district on our side went through all these policies as well, just to make sure that, you know, we reviewed them also, since they all have to do with district finances. one recommendation that we have to make, and I'm hoping that this is okay for everyone. There's many times in these policies, for instance, if you look in policy 601, it says business manager, her actual title is Director of Finance and Operations. So I'm going to recommend that for all policies in the 600s, we change business manager to Director of Finance and Operations. Is that amenable to everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay. As far as the policies between 601 and 626, I'm assuming from the board side, other than 607, which I think we need to discuss whether or not 607 is relevant or not. And so we can discuss 607. So taking 607 out, which is tuition income, are there any recommended changes from the board other than changing business manager to Director of Finance and Operations?
Not other than the language change, no.
Okay.
And yeah, 607. Now, Aaron, excuse me, Aaron did have another one.
That's in our group. That's 915. We will
There, thank
discuss
you.
that
Okay.
like specifically.
Just want to make
Because
sure
the
that.
PNN updates are like sort of, those are on our side, those are urgent documents, dated legal language. We'll set those apart for the second half here. In terms of 607 tuition income, let me pull that up for you guys.
Either way.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm huge. Did you hear that?
Okay, let me pull up 607 and let me share the screen so that the recording shows this policy. Okay, can you guys see this? No?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Schutz brought up the point that we're not accepting non-resident students in the district. And therefore, should policy 607 here, tuition income be null and void. And so I went back to policy 202, non-resident students, and it does have some language that sort of encapsulates what happens, like, Eric, I'm looking at you, if somebody's like building a house, I think that happened a few years ago, they're building a house, they're coming in, they have an agreement in place. We have language in the policy to account for that. They go tuition free up to a certain point in time. If somebody takes 9 months to build their house and it goes over, there is language under the non-resident student policy, which is 202, and encapsulates that language. So I guess my recommendation is we could probably void policy 607, knowing that there is some language in 202 that we can lean on for isolated situations where, we may have to, invoke tuition on a family for isolated sort of situations that are atypical. Everybody okay with that?
Okay,
Sure.
can I add the part about what we got from PSBA, just for so everybody's on the same page?
Sure.
When we asked our policy manager about this, she says, in the case of policy 607, it is recommended for legal liability purposes only, and it is not a policy the board is required to adopt. As a general rule, if a policy does not apply to the district, then they do not need to worry about including that policy in the manual. In a case like 607, where the district does not accept tuition students, it's not necessary to maintain a policy 607 or update the policy if you don't have it. If it changes, the district decides to accept tuition students, then the policy can be reenacted and included.
Yeah, I mean, it just removes confusion. Like,
Yeah.
all it takes is one parent to go, if you don't take tuition students, why do you have a tuition policy?
Yeah.
And so like, if it's gone, then, until such a time we do take tuition students, I would just omit, just do
Okay.
away with it.
All right.
That's my opinion.
I agree with that. So maybe we make note of that, Rainey, in the minutes. Hello, Mr. Paris.
Hello, all. How is everyone today?
Good, good.
And so I'm coming in on the trail end of it, but I was going to say, don't we take tuition students in the off chance that like if they move out of the district, but it's like right before the end of the year and or graduation or something?
Yeah.
then-
So.
Yeah, but we've never charged
So we-
tuition.
When they move out. So some of that language, Antonio, is what you missed is, we have that language encapsulated in 202. Let me pull up 202. And I think since we have some of that language encapsulated in policy 202, we may
That
be able to
would
make 607 null and void, but let me pull up 202.
And then
Just
that's
so-
fine if that's as long as we like have it encapsulated somewhere else and or we have an alternative plan that
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing. So generally speaking, we don't accept tuition students except when somebody's building a house we talked about and they have documentation that the house is being built. But that could, sometimes that could go 8 extra months or 9 extra months. And in that case, the district needs to reserve the right to charge tuition in sort of atypical isolated circumstances such as that.
Right.
We have language for kids to, finish the quarter. And we have language in 202 that accounts for the seniors for sure, which is pretty standard in every school. So let me pull up 202 just to make sure we're all on the same page here.
And so then we just need to motion, if we can put on the agenda, then if we want to remove policy 607, just put on the agenda to
Right.
motion to remove it.
Yeah,
It would be a motion to retire it,
okay.
but that won't happen
You guys-
until October.
You guys want to look at 202 or are we good?
I looked at it.
Does it look good, Roger?
Oh, Rainey, can it happen for the voting meeting next week?
Nope. No, because unfortunately, nobody responded until today regarding any of our stuff for the meeting, so therefore nothing made it on study session as being reviewable.
It doesn't have to be reviewed. We can automatically just suspend a policy. We did it. Neil, do you remember the one? I don't remember, but I did it from the floor. You can.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I do remember
Okay, so
that.
just the 607?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do remember that. I can't remember what policy that was, actually.
I can't either, but it's, yeah, you just.
Yeah, okay,
Hey, I believe you.
yeah, let's
It
do
wasn't
it.
that long ago.
Let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, it just says, other non-resident students. A non-resident student may be admitted to district schools without payment of tuition where attendance is justified on the grounds that the student lives full-time and not just for the school year with district residents who have assumed legal dependency or guardianship. The board shall require that appropriate legal documentation showing guardianship or smart blah, blah, blah. But that catches the without tuition that we were talking about.
I think there's some like.
And there's some, I think it's towards the end.
Prospective residents.
It's
Yeah.
later at the end.
Yep.
Residents.
And it also will say something about seniors too.
Because
we just
and
adjusted all that timing.
former residents.
Yeah.
Regularly enrolled students whose parents have moved out of the district may be permitted to finish the semester with payment of tuition when the student is completing the senior year and will graduate. Yeah. Good.
Good. Okay, so we'll put that motion on. Other than that, there were no substantive changes other than Antonio, Director of Finance and Operations to
Business manager.
for instead of business manager, which occurs on almost every policy in the 600s. Okay. Any other policy that we want to pull out there, at least on the board side? I'm assuming there isn't any more since we didn't get since you guys didn't submit those.
Correct.
Assuming you guys are good with it. Okay. Okay, so we have 607. Put that aside. Okay, let's go into the PNN updates. These are the legal ones, the urgent legal updates, which we went over in terms of, things that we need to address now. this spans not only 600s, but, you know, there's policy 102, 105, 122, 122.1, 123, 209.2, 626, 626.1, 827, conflict of interest, 916 and 918. Does anyone want to pull any of those out in terms of the recommendations that we made on our side to discuss? Most of them were just kind of legal language. That the legal team for the PSBA wanted us to update. The check boxes really are pretty commensurate to the check boxes that were on the previous version of those policies. So other than that, nothing much has changed in terms of policy updates. It's literally just new legal language.
I want to talk about what we did with travel reimbursement with the GSA. Because of this policy.
Sure.
I'm sorry, for which policy?
The travel 626.
626.1. Okay. General Services Administration. Okay, yeah. We changed that to mileage reimbursements to the Federal General Services Administration. Oh, I have one other change on the other ones. We'll go back to it in a second. I forgot. There's one change on a couple of the 600 policies for the board that we want to change in terms of thresholds. So I'm going to go back to those in a second, but, yeah, that way we always have that backing in terms of charging for transportation.
Okay, just to be clear, what he's saying is that every year the government tells us what our mileage rate is to be reimbursed, which we've always followed. What it also gave on this policy was that the General Services Association gave actual rates for reimbursement for meals like breakfast, lunch, dinner. And us as a district, we don't do it very often, but two, we were following very old standards. So we now comply directly with GSA so that if anybody questions where we got our numbers from, we go directly to that.
Yeah, we're much more comfortable having like, the General Services Administration as a backup to so that, you know, people don't think we're making arbitrary decisions on, you get $15. I think it's what, 15, 25 or
20, 22 and 30 now, I think.
22 and 30 for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
You know, at conferences, so it.
But like we have a caveat, if you're staying in a hotel now for free breakfast, then you know to have the free breakfast, things like that.
Of course, we want people to save as much
Save
money
us
as
money,
possible.
But wanted to be fair to realization of the world now.
But that's good, and that, you know, it adjusts similar language to a couple of the policies in terms of thresholds, where we're just gonna change the language to basically the state standards for thresholds, and I'll go back to that too. That way, we don't have to keep updating the policy. I mean, we're still gonna update policies. That's the whole point of this, but if things change, if like the mileage changed from year to year, we don't have to go back in and keep adjusting policy, or the thresholds for, you know, for procurement changes. We can just go straight to that language and just go with whatever yearly thresholds that exist. You know?
What happened when GSA traveled? What was the?
No, it's, you're thinking of the Gay Straight Alliance.
General Services. No, sorry, I was forgetting that we have a club, although.
I originally, when you said that, I went straight to that.
Oh, no.
No.
Sorry, I was in a mileage brain.
It's an administration that adjusts for travel reimbursement. It gives us some guidelines that we can adhere to for.
Our GSA now tells us how much they're gonna get. Those kids are smart.
Heck yeah, that was
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's a good thing to highlight in terms of, I think, a positive change that makes it easier for us for reimbursements. Any other policies?
Were you gonna talk directly or off to the side about 916 or no? About volunteers?
Yes. Let's pull out 916. Let me pull this up. That's one that that Aaron wanted to discuss here. 916. Can you all see this at home or no?
No.
Is 916 a new one? Because it's not listed on the,
No, that's the PNN.
It was part one,
Yeah, it's the,
the part one email.
no, I was just trying to look at them on the webpage. It was easier.
It should be. We should have a volunteer policy already.
Well, we do. That's part of the problem, Antonio, is that we have a 916. It's part of the whole booster packet and the guidelines, but it hasn't been updated. It was asked to be updated in 21. That never happened. I think probably because of COVID and we had no volunteers. And then it got lost in the shuffle. So that's why we're kind of going back to it, because every year we have this whole discussion on, we need to better identify who people, what categories people fall in for volunteer assistance.
Right.
so we went back to this 2021. Because this hasn't been updated for quite some time. And volunteers are something we deal with, quite often. So, let's see, what are the things we wanted to pull out here?
We want to look at the titles that,
Reimbursement? No,
no,
for expenses. Certifications.
yeah, so here's the problem, is that, so I've compared to like multiple different districts on, everybody follows the same schematic of child abuse, criminal background check. A lot of schools actually require fingerprints as a volunteer and make them pay for it.
Right.
We also have, but we follow the if you see under number 3 on there, volunteer has not been a resident during their entire previous 10-year period, then they have to get the fingerprints. If they've been here for 10 years, then they just sign off on the form saying they've been here for 10 years in the state of Pennsylvania, and we move on. So, like, we have a checklist that they sign, we have that they sign, then we ask for the criminal history check and the child abuse check. That's not even my problem. My problem is how we identify what type of volunteer and what type of clearances go with each volunteer within the district itself.
Before we continue, we just only see the screen that we see is just the folder that the policy is listed in, not the policy itself.
Don't say it, Antonio. Don't say it. I know you're gonna
No,
say
listen,
it.
no, I think we were all looking at the policy separately, but I'm
how's
like, for the
this?
recording.
How's this?
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, sorry.
Sorry, continue, Rainey.
No, so what I did was I went to a bunch of different schools like Fox Chapel, Plum, Springdale, Pine Richland. And like we have in the past, I think our volunteer handbook states, like, can you scroll down, Neil? Position volunteer and guest volunteer, what are the two things that are listed here? And a lot of schools seem to now have, we have to include volunteer coaches and sponsors in our policy, because we don't. Like, we don't identify them. I mean, it says it under position volunteer, but our volunteer coaches are required to do almost the exact same paperwork that a regular employee has, minus a physical. Because we require mandated, we require a TB test, we require real fingerprints. So I just think that, like, I look at these, a lot of times schools are saying assistant volunteer, which is, no compensation, homeroom parent, things like that, when you're always with another teacher who's already certified with us. And then you have an independent volunteer who are like tutors, chaperones for field trips, which you would require a little bit more because they're going to be like ski club sponsors, things like that. And then you have volunteer coaches and other sponsors. So I'm kind of throwing this out here to open the can of worms, because I know this isn't going to be solved today probably, but I do think it's something that's very important and our district needs to do better about cleaning it up.
What is the additional classification that you think we need? Volunteer coaches? Is a third classification here?
I think, yeah, so like I would take,
It is a step, like you gotta do safe sport and all
Yeah,
that
and we
stuff, but
also
like.
had a discussion,
we
we
did.
have had discussions also about volunteer coaches in terms of
Mhm.
payment, where they have to pay for certain things, and especially the coaching class. So a lot of the coaches already took the
They are
class.
totally.
Encapsulating,
Fingerprints,
yeah,
because I don't take volunteer fingerprints, I take real fingerprints for that.
Yeah, you gotta go to like,
and we've talked about maybe, the district incurring the cost of the coaching class, because it's a $50 class, you have 2 years to take it. And that, we don't have a lot of coaches that fall in that category, but it's just, you don't want to, also you don't want to make it like sort of prohibitive for a volunteer to come in and like, we're not paying them, and so then they have to like, they have to get fingerprints and other things, because that's what they need to do if you work with kids anywhere. And that could be applicable to other things that they do, but if a coach to have to then pay extra money as a coach for a coaching class, I think that is a cost that we need to consider as a district of possibly incurring.
okay, I see what you're
On
saying.
your side, the other things are applicable to other things that you might do as a volunteer,
I
right?
agree with you. The people that are gonna do it are the ones that aren't gonna balk at the money that they spend.
Look at like the seven and the, yeah.
Correct, but we also have
Right.
had a couple times where somebody has said, I would love to be your volunteer coach, and I do have a background in this, but I just can't go and spend $25 just because right now.
No, for sure, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I would love to see us incur that cost. I mean, I'll pay somebody's coaching cost if they want to, like, geez, if that's what's stopping them, but like.
Just for the class.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
even for the
That's what I
course,
mean,
right?
just
You
get
have to
for it.
take by Whitfield standards, this coaching course.
But for the purpose of this policy, I completely agree, because it's just a
But we
separate class
do
of
have a
volunteer.
plan, though, because we do this campus media sponsorship where they give us money for promoting them.
Mhm.
And it's the athletic department that promotes them. So that money that we get in from them after every season could go towards that
Yeah.
payment. So it's hopefully the goal.
So do we want to table this and add some like
I'm
a
more than
third
happy.
classification for like a volunteer coach?
Well, my suggestion would be if you guys are okay with me categorizing the 3 different levels of volunteers that I use and deal with and breaking those down and send them to you guys to review and give me input.
Okay.
And then we could go from there. Because I think all the principals know and understand that I face backlash from some groups and other groups I don't, and and it gets very, very hard and frustrating. To say to somebody, thank you, I love that you're volunteer, but I need more. So if I have it more clearly defined, and if we do decide to switch to comply with clearances, then we've got it all cleaned up.
Yeah.
For volunteers, and it's a better and easier process.
We're
So,
moving to sort of a digital repository for
Like-
clearances and stuff.
like we did with the teachers, they're launching a volunteer piece,
Yeah,
which we're hoping to jump in
yeah.
on.
Love that.
So go ahead, Antonio. What
I
do you
just have a
think?
quick question. I like that idea, Rainey. I'm fine with doing however you guys think we should. I think my question is for the clearances. So we don't require them, or
So this is where, when I say I'm opening a can of worms, I am, because the problem is that the booster guidelines are slightly different. They were created probably about 8-9 years ago. Probably will need to be looked at again as well, but if we identify volunteers as a whole, it can be a clearer piece. Because the problem is that like anybody who is paid by the district is required clearances, and I say that in like so musical directors are the examples I'm going to use. We have the director, the producer, etc. They all have their clearances by law as an employee.
right?
Then what happens is that they have leaders, within that group. So
Right.
say like your costume person is Lady X. Because she deals with all of these students privately or one-on-one, she should, to protect everybody, have all of those clearances.
Right.
But we don't pay her. That booster group or that student activity group pays her. But we still require it. So sometimes I get pushback. And then we have like God Bless Dance, PTO is great because those parents are out in the hallway. Now, granted, most parents are still there, but sometimes they're not. And they get their clearances even though they're just the chaperone in the hallway during a class. But
Right.
I get some people, and principals know this, that in book fairs, they're like, well, I don't need my clearances because the teacher's in the room. We can't always guarantee that a teacher will 100% always be in the room for an event. Classrooms, yes, most likely, because there's either a teacher or a para. So it's just, it gets kind of gray sometimes, and like even concession stand. This actually states a concession stand doesn't need to have it, but the sponsors of a booster group, it's like all the officers of RABA should have it. And then the question is, well, does every officer in the individual boosters group need it? So I could go on and just make it a really moshy pit, but
So would it be helpful to do it in a time frame and or like specific designation? Like, so I mean, this is designating the volunteers, but maybe making it outlined in a time frame where we're saying, you know, activities that fall outside of school hours and that are primarily run by not the district, I guess I would say, those, you know, don't require the.
so I hear you on that, but then boosters is still, although we don't run it, it's a student activity that falls under us. So that's where we get really gray.
Well, they fall under us just to use our logo and stuff and to be approved by the district, but not to be like, we can't run them, and we also can't manage them as the district.
That's
Because then
Correct, but-
legally we get into murky waters.
Yeah, well, you should definitely look at the handbook then, because that's where all the murkiness arises.
Okay, well, why don't we put a pin in 916 for now? Let's try to get some more specific language around those classifications.
Like I could send my recommendations and we can go
We
from there.
can send them to you guys via email. And if everybody's okay with it, we can, you know, we might not be able to get it on.
It won't make October. but-
Yes, yeah, all of these are, for first reading is gonna be October, right? October, and then October, November. We have another policy meeting in November. And then elections, and then we have to set.
Committees.
You're up. Maybe we put a pin in this, we email it to you guys, you take a look at it, give us feedback, and then we can maybe bring it to the study session as a first
November,
or in October. Well, it'll be just with everything else. All of this is gonna be in October. Yeah,
Right?
it'll all be in October anyhow. But we can email that to you guys if that's okay with you, and then we can just kind of do that via email if that works.
Yeah,
Is everybody okay
we'll
with
have
that?
a public discussion about it anyway, so I think that that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna bring it in October anyhow, so if anybody wants to discuss it, well, we'll have 3 public discussions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time, I guess. It's not super urgent, but.
Yep.
Okay, any other PNN network policies we wanted to pull out?
Sorry, I was just.
I'm gonna take the share off here. If none, we can put these on the agenda. I guess they'll be for October study session. And then first reading in October.
Were there any substantive changes to the 100 policies?
No, not really.
Mm-mm.
Like interscholastic, like curriculum, interscholastic.
I didn't think that there was, but
No, there's a special instruction observances section to curriculum saying that the plan must also include provisions for special instruction to comply with state and federal law about Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, Arbor Day, and Bill of Rights Week. So that was the change in curriculum. Extracurriculars included eligibility. And that's for meeting requirements of academic eligibility for extracurricular activities. And then Yeah.
Is the academic eligibility, is that outlined then just in the student handbook?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the change there. Non-sponsored groups.
Um,
Um, This is a brand new policy, non-school sponsored student groups.
yeah.
22.1 is brand
Brand
new,
new.
okay? Everything in it is brand new, which was the recommendations from the PSBA, which is about,
We should maybe talk about this one only because the part where it says a district employee will be assigned to attend and monitor each student group meeting, is that, if that is like outside of the time, then like,
so
'cause it
this,
says
this is
non-
like Bible club, or this is like student club, so, we don't have really a policy on that, but generally speaking, there needs to be a teacher advisor. The students run the organization, the teacher's there to monitor. So this goes with all student clubs or non-school related clubs. So currently, Eric, we have Bible Club, we have GSA, we have,
Bowling,
oh, that's like
that's a sports club.
that's a school sanctioned, we have people who are volunteer coaches of that.
I think just the two, right, Eric?
That are not paid anymore?
That are non-school sponsored,
Non-school sponsored clubs.
which would be, yes, they're non-REA.
Okay, non-REAs, because they're school clubs, they're student activity clubs.
I was gonna say they are sponsored, like our Bible club and stuff, that's a school club.
Yeah, they're
We
just
just-
not paid.
Yeah, they're just
They
not
turned in
paid.
they turned
Yeah,
in a
'cause-
budget, so this,
'cause-
that would fall under this.
Well, they didn't turn in a
Right.
budget. He just filled it out and made it all blank.
No, that's what I'm saying, they turned in a budget, so like,
Yeah,
so this would be for just non-school sponsored.
Yeah, would those be more like the bowling
Non-school
club
sponsored student
and,
groups. Must
Like
be
the skating.
voluntary, student initiated and conducted in accordance with the law.
right, because those clubs are still, they still follow the same procedures as creating themselves and what they do and how they fundraise that our other clubs do. They're just because they're new, those sponsors, those teacher sponsors understand that they're not paid because they're not part of it. Like, so the art club for a long time was not paid. And then when we eliminated some other clubs, art club is now paid without adding to the budget. But they're still like in every way, shape and form, those clubs still follow the procedures.
It
Of
just
any other
gives
club.
guidelines
So
to
maybe-
students if they want to have a student group
Yeah,
to meet during non-instructional time. So say a group of students wants to,
and actually, I don't think we have anybody.
yeah, I guess we don't really have any.
It's interesting because when it says non-school organizations, groups and individuals initiating requests for use of school facilities or dissemination of materials. The only groups that ever do that here on our property would have been like, Relay for Life, when they had a meeting, but that was outside groups and those weren't students. So I think that's, it's kind of like that type of thing, but in a student section. we don't
Covers
know.
us if there is a non-school group that wanted to come in.
Yeah.
Use the building. as a
Like
student
if it were like,
library.
what, like the Boy Scouts, if the Boy Scouts wanted to come, would that be?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
That'd be
maybe we
it.
should,
There you go.
should we define then what a non-school sponsored group is? And then how are we going to handle the delegation of responsibility section where it says a district employee will be assigned to attend and monitor each student group meeting? Like, are we paying them or are we not? I just don't want them to, the REA to come back and their for their union contract and be like, how are you going to
Oh yeah,
require
trust
us
me,
to
no
be there
teachers
and not
coming.
pay?
Yeah, no
Right.
teachers coming after hours without, yeah.
Right.
Well, I
That's
mean,
why I'm
well,
like-
actually, no, some of them, like I could see like Carlin be like, yeah, I'll, this is my group, I'm bringing them in, I'll You know, so if we're
Teacher
assigning
initiated
somebody, I
groups,
agree, like, hey, we need somebody to be here, but let's say that, like, maybe the Boy Scouts wouldn't be the best. Like, well, let's say that Mark Carlin was the Boy Scout leader and said, hey, can we have our meeting in the
But it could be-
library on this night?
but it
That
could
would
be
be two birds with
anyone.
one stone.
But I'm
Right,
saying it
well,
could
I
be
think
any
the other
meeting,
piece is, we
right?
don't actually permit people to use our building in that capacity.
Right.
Like, right, David, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts don't meet in our building. So I think the first line of defense on this policy in general is the fact that a secretary isn't going to give a building permit in the first place.
Yeah,
Well, then-
yeah, you're right.
So then we don't need this. All.
We
well, then
don't,
need-
it's a recommendation as a new policy from from the PNN network. So it's up to us.
In case this
Okay.
comes up, right?
Right.
They used to
case-
years ago. Years ago, they used to be here. The Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, they would meet here. But it's been a long time since they have.
Because I'm like, if our policy as a district is not to allow outside groups to use our facilities, then we shouldn't have a policy that does allow them to. You know what I mean? Like, because this policy, if we put this in place, gives them carte blanche to ask to use our facilities. Any
Contradictory.
non-student group, right? Like,
Well, we have lots of non-student groups that use our facilities, but this is like we have the men's basketball league, you
I-
know, or whatever, that use our facilities. This is just for
non-sponsored. I mean,
student
sorry.
initiated groups. These are student groups only. And I guess I guess the PSBA just wanted us to put it in just in case a non-school sponsored student group would come seeking permission to use the premises, you know, if it were students, there's a group of students. You know, they get a person to monitor and meet, and then they can meet for whatever the purpose is. I don't know. You wanna table this one?
Maybe just to flesh it out a little bit more.
Okay, let's table that. Let's table 122.1. Okay, what do we have here? Tabling 122.1. So that's 122.1, Rainey, and that is 916. 916 and 122.1. Any other policies that we want to pull out here? Are we good to go for first readings here?
I don't think I have anything.
Wonderful, guys. All right, hey, thanks. Hey, listen, we have, okay, so oh, wait, I want to go back to, hold on. Wait a second, guys. I need to go back to a couple of these. Give me 1 second. Policy. Let's. It's two policies. Okay, policy 610. I'll pull it up. And policy 611. All right, let me pull this up. Policy 610 and 611. Sorry. Just want to change some, I just want to alert you to this language because I know this is your policies for the board.
Mhm.
But we wanted to change some stuff here. Well, not a substantive change, just I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see any changes in either of them.
Yeah, so this is 610. Okay, our recommended changes here, or Sheila's recommended changes for 610 is instead of putting the thresholds, because the thresholds here change. So we're looking at 610 under right here. It's $21,900. She wants to change the language to number one, purchase furniture, equipment, school supplies, and appliances costing a base amount based on annual Commonwealth of PA and federal procurement thresholds. So just put that language in, which sets those thresholds. That way, if the thresholds change from year to year, we don't have to go back in and change the thresholds. So our recommendation is to change it for number 1 and number 2 on this competitive bid section. And on the second page, guys, right here, same language. And the language would be, once again, annual Commonwealth of PA and federal procurement thresholds. And there is a similar threshold in policy 611, where it kind of states the threshold. We want to just replace it with the, it's kind of like Antonio, putting the, putting the law in there, and not, you don't have to like recreate the language on the law, you just put the law language in there or refer to the law itself. And then, as the law changes, your policy is always up to date. Similar to that. I know we've talked about that before together. Anyway,
Yeah.
is everybody cool with that? It's not really a substantive change, but it just makes it so no matter what, it's kind of like what we just talked about with the mileage reimbursement. If we have the designated body that sets that as a background, then we're always covered, when those thresholds might slightly change from year to year. Okay. That's
Okay,
it.
so I can just redline with those adjusted changes and resend out those two.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the language, and we're just gonna,
Okay.
I'll give those to you. Okay. All right.
So for clarification, I'm going to redline those two and resend out, and I'm going to send out my suggestions for 916
Correct.
classifications.
Correct.
And then we're tabling 122.1.
And we're changing all business
Yes,
manager
manager
to
to-
director of finance
yeah.
and operations.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any old business? I don't think there's anything laying out there. We don't have any old business laying out there.
Nope.
And now we have to, go
We
ahead.
still have to review those policies, but like myself, Roger, and Aaron have to review some of these different sections that were already covered by the administration, but
Okay.
You mean on the ones from this meeting?
Updates.
no, not the PNM updates, like the different sections.
Oh, you mean like 800s, 900s?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go, let's sort of set the path for the next meeting as well.
We're still waiting on Christina Lane for
We don't have hearing of citizens. We're still waiting on Title IX things, so
Yeah,
that's.
there's
still-
some 100s.
The only old business is those Title IX, but Christina said to hold off for now. Since there's no hearing of citizens, let's set a little bit of a pathway. The next set of policies for us is going to be for November. What's the next?
700s.
The 700s. Guys, we're almost through. We have the 700s next.
How many are in
It's
700s?
exciting. I think the goal, do you think we can get to all of the policies by the end of the year, maybe? Question mark?
I mean, it looks like we're on our way there.
That'd be really cool. And then we have updated policies for every policy updated, and we keep working our way through it every year. So, yeah, we have 700s. Same thing, we'll do the PNN updates. And, board, you're okay with kind of going over the policies in the 700s that the PSBA, there's no urgent upgrades for. I think that's working as far as I'm concerned. Do you guys think that's working? Yes, good.
Yeah.
So property. Not a lot of policies here. Do you want to,
Kind of go over that fast.
1, 2, 3, 4. We have 18 policies. How many do we have in operations? Oh, there's a lot more. You just want to stick to 700 for the next one, or do you want to dip into the 800s?
How many are?
Maybe stick to 700s, because I think we have to catch up.
Okay, we'll stick to the 700s. Let's do property in November, okay? And any PNN, any lingering PNN policy upgrades. We'll make sure, I'll try to get I'll pin down Christina Lane and have her give us an update on those Title IX, those 122s, I believe. 112s,
103, 104, 114, 113, something like that.
yeah, 112,
We have
113.
about 4 or 6.
There's a few that Title IX language, which I think the state kind of put on hold based on everything that's going on. So I'll try to get an update from her, and then we'll concentrate on the 700s, and then all of these policies minus 916. And what's the other one?
122.1.
And 122.1. We'll keep that. We'll put a pin in those. Hey, thank you. I think this process has been really great, in terms of policies. It's definitely made me sharper as a superintendent, because I'm going through these with a fine tooth comb. And I think it's probably good for our administration too, to go through these with a fine tooth comb and really be familiar with what policies are guiding our work. So it's been a really, really good process. I'm excited if we can get through the remaining policies before the end of the year. That might be an audacious goal. We'll have to see how that goes, but we're doing really good. So anyway, thank you so much. Antonio, did you enjoy your awesome trip?
I did. I missed you guys though. So
Oh, man, I doubt
I
that when
wouldn't
you're
miss this.
going to all those places.
I always miss being here. So
Well, hey,
But I had
good
a
to
great
see you
time.
guys. Thank you for attendance, and we got a good plan moving forward. Appreciate it. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
second.
Thank you. Have a great week, everyone. See you, Antonio. I'll see you Monday. Roger, see you Monday, man.
Yes, sir.
Okay, bye, guys.